Hi everybody. So today I'm going to do a review of the large print Westminster Reference Bible. This one is put out by the Trinitarian Bible Society and it just came out fairly recently. It features an 11.8 point font, which is awesome. It's got more than 200,000 cross-references, 8 full-color maps, various other Bible study helps, and it is bound in Mariva calfskin leather. So it comes in a nice clamshell box. It just flips open, and I like that they have this little cutout, makes it a little bit easier to open. But here is our ISBN number and our product code, and I'll also link their website in the description box as well. So here's a little bit of information about this Bible. So if you would like to pause it and read it, and it'll start out with talking about its initial publication back in 2012. And they also have this one in a regular size as well as a compact edition. So some of the other features, we've seen most of these up on the front side, but one of the ones we didn't see is this one is a black text, so we're not going to see any red letter. It is a sewn binding, comes with 4 ribbon markers, which is awesome. And then we're going to see all these other features inside the Bible because it's easier to look at them. Gives us a actual size on the text. So if you were to go somewhere and one of these was on a shelf and wrapped in cellophane, you'd be able to get an exact replication of what size the text is going to be. So it's nice that they do that. There's also their website. Well, let's go ahead and look at the Bible itself, and then I'll also show you this one next to the regular size edition as well. So this one here, as you can see, that is a good sized Bible. So this one here is 10 7/8 inches tall by 7 7/8 inches wide, and it is 1.5 inches thick. And those are outer dimensions, so in case you were looking to purchase a case. So one thing we can see there is how nice that gold gilding is. So they do a great job on their gilding. Just looks fantastic. I mean, just flawless. And this is a black Mariva calfskin. So there's not a ton of grain in it. A lot of it's been ironed out. But that is a thick piece of leather. So you can see how thick that is there. So we're not going to have any stitching, no perimeter stitching or anything. But the way that they've done this, it's actually a really pretty Bible. And I'm going to show you the grain on this one up against the grain on the regular size. So you can see how this one has more grain in it than this one. So you really never know on the Mariva calfskin if you're going to get one that's a little more smooth or something like this. But this will also be a good opportunity to show you the size difference between these two. So we've got our large print and then our regular, and then that compact one is going to be even smaller than this one. Let's go ahead and look at the other features on this one. So on our spine, we've got Holy Bible, large print Westminster Reference Bible, and the TBS logo. And then we've also got these tooled in ribs. So they're not really pronounced. I mean, you definitely can feel them, but it does look really nice on that spine. We're going to have a paste down liner, but it is a vinyl paste down and it is nicely done. And then in the beginning here, so one thing that we'll see is we're not even into the Bible and it is laying perfectly flat. So that is awesome. So with these few front pages, if you wanted to take some notes, you've got a lot of space right there to take some notes. And I like the way they do their other pages in the front here, how they've got a scripture on all of these. I like the way that they do that. And we're going to get into our presentation page. So nicely done, and I like that it's on the cardstock paper that's not shiny, because I kind of feel like you're maybe less likely to smear the writing when you do fill it out. So see if I can get a hold of this page here. All right, we're going to get into our title pages. And we've got their information there, where they're located. And then we can see here that this one is printed and bound in Belarus by Print Corp. And so the reason that they did not use Youngblood is because this paper, this is such a large size paper that Youngblood's equipment cannot do the printing and stuff on this type of paper that's this size. So they did the smaller version, but they had to go with somebody whose equipment could actually produce this one. There's our two different cover options, so you can get this one in a black vinyl covered hardback and also this black Mariva calfskin. Got a little bit of information there. And then we're going to see all of these, so I'm not going to go over this page because we're going to see it in the actual Bible. So we're going to start off with our epistle dedicatory, and then we're going to get right into the what they call the various helpful characteristics of the authorized version, and that being the KJV. So there's going to be info on the use of the italic type. So if you get one of these and you've never read the King James, you definitely want to spend some time in these front pages. Then there's information on as far as like Lord versus Lord, as far as the way it's just the one capital versus all capitals. So it's got information about that. And you could actually pause and read that if you wanted to. Then we're going to have the use of capitalizations. And then it's going to have a continuation of the various helpful characteristics. So we've got the use of the Old Testament names in the New Testament. We've got information on using thou and ye in the authorized version. So it's going to talk about like the second person singular, informal. So we've got thou and thee and thy and thine. So this chart can be really helpful when you're reading the King James Version. And then it's going to give us information on the Pilcrow mark, which is known as a paragraph mark. So you've probably seen that before if you've read the King James. And then we're going to start into the guide of using the large print Westminster Bible. So it's going to give us helpful information. So we're going to have book titles. We're going to have chapter summaries. They're going to be right in the text, which we'll see those in a moment. We've got psalm headings, subscriptions to epistles, references in the margins, further content in the margins, running page heads. And so you can see the circles here, so it's going to show us the examples. So here's an example of the chapter summaries. So right before a chapter, we're going to have a nice summary right there, and some of them are actually pretty big, so there's quite a few lines, and so that's really helpful before you start a new chapter. You already have an idea of what you're going to be reading, so that is nice. It's got information on the superscript letters as well as the superscript numbers, and all of these are going to give you an example as far as what you're looking at. We've got the asterisks. So out in the margins, if you see a word that's got an asterisk by it, so we've got peradventure here, and so in this sense, for this case of it, as far as this example, it's going to say that in this case it means if. So other sections it may mean perhaps. So it's really nice that you basically have your glossary in the margins. So older words that may have a different meaning now, you're not going to have to flip through the back to see that. So that's really helpful. Then we've got the superscript section markers. And then we're going to get into the list of the books of the Bibles and the abbreviations. So we've got all the Old Testament books, all of the New. And then we'll get right into the Old Testament. And one thing that's really unique to the Westminster Bible is the fact that it's 4 columns. So we've got 2 columns of the biblical text, and then our left column is going to be all of our references that goes with this column here, and of course then these are going to be for this column. So it's really nice because it keeps it free of clutter, so you can see that there's really no clutter here. You still have plenty of space in these margins for notes to put additional references if you wanted to. But just super nice the way it's laid out, because when we go down here and we're looking at it, we can see that those references are pretty much straight across from where you see them in the text. Same with over here. So nice and quick, really easy to find these. So there's another word example with the asterisks, and if we go over, it's going to tell us that that means sky. So here's our first chapter summary. And then we're going to flip to the other side so that we can see the text a little bit better. So the font, like we've seen on the front, is going to be an 11.8. So very nice and readable, and just tons of space if you want to put notes in this. The paper in this one is going to it feels just a little bit different than the other version, than the smaller one. So this paper, like the only way I can describe it is it feels drier than the other one. The other one has a little bit more of a slippery feel to it. But a great paper. You really don't get any ghosting. I mean, that just looks awesome right there. And the paper on this one is just a little bit whiter in color. We do have 4 ribbon markers. So it's nice because they give us 2 black and 2 red. So they're not super fancy ribbons or anything, but it is really nice to have 4, and then they are long enough to actually use, so that is nice. So I'm going to give you a shot of this one being open against the smaller one being open. And this bigger one, the outer dimension, so if we measure from here all the way over, that's a 16.5-inch span, so that gives you an idea of the size. And then there's a size comparison of these two. But if we get a little bit closer down to it, you can see, you should be able to see that this paper isn't as white as this one, so this one's just a little bit whiter. And I don't recall the font size on this one here, but that 11.8 is great. So they do have, with having the 3 different sizes, they really have one that's going to work for pretty much everybody, which is nice. So we did see on the back of the box that this one is just black letter, so we're not going to see any words of Christ in red in this edition. But once we get back to the back, we're going to have our table of weights and measures. And I should have bookmarked this page, but we've got our table of the weights and measures. And so it's going to give us the Old Testament weights, which is nice. And so one thing that's good is because the way that they are in the Old Testament might be a little bit different in the New. So we're going to have all of our weights and measures, liquid measures, dry measures, the monies, all in the Old Testament. And then we're also going to have charts that are in the New Testament. So that breaks it out really nice. We're going to have a list of the words and the proper names and their pronunciations. So because it's not in the text, if there was any words that you weren't sure how to say, you could pop on back to this back section, and then this is going to help you to know how to pronounce these proper names and the words. And then we're going to get back, and then our what they're calling Appendix 3 is going to be the daily Bible reading plan. And so, and the reading plan, it's not too difficult either, so it's not a ton. So for day 1, you just have Genesis chapter 1 and Matthew chapter 1. So pretty simple to follow. And then we do have several pages of blank Bible paper, so you do have space for notes. And you could always slip a piece of lined paper behind that so that your notes stay nice and straight. Then we're going to get back into our maps. They are nice and colorful, and I like that they're done on a matte finish cardstock and not shiny. So we can see that we're not going to get any glare from the light. And because that's a larger map, we can see how easy that is to read. So nice and clear. I do like that they have the borders around them, so nothing's going to be falling into the gutter on these maps, and I do like that. So on these, if we get down here into the gutter, you can see the stitching. And so we're back in the maps, and again, we're laying completely flat at the very back of the Bible. But the Westminster Bible is an awesome, awesome Bible. I really love the layout on this one. And then in the back, we just get back to the end of the Bible. But fantastic Bible. The references are awesome. There's tons of them. And you can see that there's just lots of space to put your notes, which is really nice. And so I'm going to link their website in the description box so that you can check out this one. But also, if this one's too big for you, then look at the regular edition. I'm going to give you a shot of this ISBN number. So there is the regular edition. And then they also have the compact. And then this one here is going to be the large print. And this one just came out just within the last few weeks. But awesome, awesome Bible. And I would definitely recommend getting, if you don't have a Westminster in your library, I would definitely recommend picking up one of them. Whether it's the large print, the regular, or the compact. You really can't go wrong with any of them. Because the information that's in it is just awesome. I love having the references so easy to find, and the text is uncluttered, because Each column has its own. So I think that is really unique. It's nice that you do get the 4 ribbon markers and the Mariva calfskin leather. So just a fantastic Bible. And definitely check out their website. Trinitarian Bible Society is a ministry, so they're not for profit, so you can get amazing Bibles at really reasonable prices. Plus their shipping is super reasonable as well. So definitely check them out. And I will put the link in the description box. And I would like to thank the folks over at Trinitarian for sending out this copy for review. All right. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.